You've got $6,000 sitting in a savings account earning basically nothing, 0.01% interest. You do the math and realize that's about 60 cents a year. 60 cents. And every finance video you watch says the same thing. Move it to a high-yield account. Don't let your money sit there doing nothing. So you open a new tab, you're about to transfer it somewhere that pays 4 or 5%. Maybe even think about putting some of it in the market since it's just sitting there anyway. And then, 3 days later, your car transmission dies. $2,800 to fix it. And because that money was still sitting right where it was, boring, liquid, untouched, you pay the bill in about 4 minutes, no stress, no debt, no selling anything at a bad time. That $6,000 earning basically nothing just saved you from a financial disaster. And here's the part that should change how you think about this forever. That fund didn't earn 0%. It earned one of the best returns of your entire financial life. Here's what most people get wrong about their emergency fund. They evaluate it the same way they evaluate an investment, by asking, how much interest is this earning me? But that's the wrong question entirely. My name is Davis. If you've ever felt guilty about your emergency fund, just sitting there, earning nothing, hit subscribe. Because today I'm going to show you why a $0 interest emergency fund can actually have a 1,000% return, and why chasing yield on this specific pile of money is one of the most common and most expensive mistakes people make. Let's start with the real problem, because it's not what people assume. Most people think the return on their emergency fund is the interest rate printed on the account. And by that logic, a 0.01% savings account looks embarrassing next to a 5% high-yield account or an 8% average stock market return. So people move their emergency fund somewhere better or worse. They invest it, thinking they're being smart with their money. But here's what most people don't realize. The interest rate was never the point. The point was always what happens the moment you need that money, immediately, without warning, without a good time to sell. Let's do the actual math, because this is where the real return hides. Say you have $6,000 in an emergency fund earning 0%. Over a year, that's $0 in interest. If you'd moved it to a high-yield account instead, you might have earned around $250 to $300 over that same year. So on paper, moving it looks like the smart move. But now let's play out what actually happens to a lot of people who do this. Life doesn't wait for convenient timing. The transmission dies. The furnace goes out. A medical bill shows up. And if that money isn't sitting there liquid and ready, here's what usually happens instead. Option 1. It goes on a credit card. At 20% plus interest, that $2,800 repair can quietly cost you $3,200 or more by the time it's paid off, especially if you can only manage minimum payments for a few months. Option 2. If the money is invested instead of seated in cash, you're forced to sell during a random week that has nothing to do with market timing. If the market happens to be down that week, you're not just losing potential future gains, you're locking in an actual loss permanently, just to cover an emergency. Compare that to $250 in lost interest. The math isn't close. Here's why this is more dangerous than people realize. The cost of not having liquid emergency savings isn't measured in interest rates. It's measured in forced decisions made at the worst possible time. And forced decisions are expensive, whether that's high-interest debt, selling investments at a loss, or borrowing from family and dealing with the awkwardness that comes with that. The real return of an emergency fund isn't what it earns. It's what it prevents. And when you compare $250 of lost interest against $3,200 of avoided credit card interest, or against avoiding a forced investment sale during a downturn, that boring 0% account starts looking like one of the highest returning decisions in your entire financial life. Not on paper, in real life, which is the only place that actually counts. Let me give you two people, Alex and Priya. Both have $6,000 saved. Alex hears that keeping money in a low-yield account is a waste, so he moves his emergency fund into an investment account, reasoning that even if he needs it, he can just sell some shares. Priya keeps her $6,000 boring, liquid, and untouched in a basic savings account, earning almost nothing. 6 months later, both of them face a similar emergency, an unexpected medical bill for $2,500. Priya transfers the money in under a minute. Done. No stress, no decisions to make. Alex checks his investment account, and the market happens to be down 12% that month. Selling now means locking in a real loss on top of the emergency itself. He hesitates, considers a credit card instead, and ends up doing a mix of both, selling some investments at a loss and putting part of the bill on a card. A year later, Priya is exactly where she expected to be: calm, stable, and back to rebuilding her fund. Alex is dealing with a smaller investment portfolio than before, some lingering credit card interest, and the stress of an emergency that turned into two separate financial setbacks instead of one clean transaction. So how should you actually think about this? Here's the framework. Different money has different jobs, and you should never judge money by a metric that doesn't match its job. Growth money, retirement accounts, long-term investments should be judged by return. That's its job. But protection money, your emergency fund, should be judged by one thing only: how instantly and reliably can I access this without loss, without stress, and without a bad decision forced by timing? A 0% return on protection money isn't a failure. It's the fund doing exactly what it was designed to do. Second, know your number and stop there. Most people need somewhere between 3 and 6 months of essential expenses sitting liquid. Once you hit that number, you're done optimizing yield on that specific pile of money. Anything above that number, sure, that's fair game for higher yield accounts or investing, because that money's job has changed. It's no longer protection money, it's growth money. Third, separate the accounts completely so you're never tempted to treat one pile of money like it has two jobs at once. Keep your emergency fund in its own account, physically separate from your spending and investing accounts. Out of sight keeps it out of the, well, it's just sitting there, temptation that convinces so many people to move it somewhere riskier. Here's the identity shift underneath all of this. Not every dollar in your financial life is supposed to be working the same job. Some money is supposed to grow. Some money is supposed to protect. And the mistake almost everyone makes is judging protection money by growth metrics, then feeling behind or embarrassed when it underperforms. But a fire extinguisher isn't a bad purchase because it sits unused for years. Its entire value is in being there instantly on the one day you actually need it. Your emergency fund works exactly the same way. So here's your action step. Look at your emergency fund right now. If it's below 3 months of essential expenses, that's the priority before yield, before investing more, before anything else. And if it's already sitting at your target number earning close to 0%, stop feeling guilty about it. That fund isn't failing you. It's quietly protecting you from a financial disaster you haven't even had yet. If this changed how you think about your emergency fund, hit subscribe and let me know in the comments. Has your emergency fund ever saved you from going into debt?